We are on chapter 4. In the last chapter, if you remember, he just made the horse come to life, and they are outside. What do you think is going to happen? Think something bad might happen, or think he'll be all right? The chapter 4 is called The Great Outdoors. Both horse and man seem to sniff the air, tasting its freshness and testing it for danger at the same time. The horse was still making circles with his nose when Little Bear sprang onto his back. The horse, startled, reared slightly, but this time Little Bear was clung to his long mane. The horse's front feet had no sooner touched the path than he was galloping. Omri leapt to his feet to give chase. The horse's speed was remarkable, but Omri found that by running along the lawn beside the path, he could keep up quite easily. The ground was dry, and as the Indian and the horse raced along, a most satisfying cloud of dust rose behind them so that Omri could easily imagine that they were galloping across some wild, unbroken territory. More and more he found that he was able to see things from the Indian's point of view. The little stones on the path had become huge boulders. They had to be dodged. Weeds became trees, and the lawn's edge became an escarpment twice the height of the man. As for living things, an ant scuttling across the horse path made him shy wildly. The shadow of a passing bird falling on him brought him to a dead stop, crouching and cowering, as a full-size horse might do. It was some huge bird of prey that swooped at him once again. Omri marveled at the courage of Little Bear he faced with all these terrors. But it was not a courage of recklessness. Little Bear clearly realized his peril, and when he had his gallop, he turned the horse's head and came trotting back to Omri, who crouched down to hear what he had to say. This was much more difficult in the open air somehow. "Danger," said the Indian. "Much. I need bow, arrows, club, maybe gun?" he asked pleadingly. Omri shook his head. "Then Indian weapons." "Yes," said Omri. "You need those. I'll find them today. In the meantime, we better go back to the house." "Not go in shut in place. Stay here. You stay. Drive all wild animals away." "I can't. I have to go to school." "What school?" "A place where you learn." "Ah, learn good," Little Bear said approvingly. "Learn law of tribe, honor, your ancestors, way of spirits." "Well, it's something like that," said Omri. Little Bear was clearly reluctant to return to the house, but he had the sense to realize he couldn't cope outside by himself. So he galloped back along the path with Omri running alongside and dismounting. He re-entered the carton. Omri was just carrying it up the back steps when suddenly the back door opened and there was his father. "Omri, what on earth are you doing out here in your pajamas? And you have nothing on your feet, you naughty, naughty boy. What are you up to?" Omri clutched the box to him so tight that he kind of felt the sides bending quickly, and he relaxed his hold. He felt himself break into a sweat. Nothing. I couldn't sleep. I wanted to go out." "What is wrong with putting on your slippers, at least?" "Sorry, I forgot." "Well, hurry up and get dressed now." Omri rushed up the stairs, panting. He laid the box on the floor. He opened the flap, and the horse rushed out alone, stood under the table, whinnying and trembling. He had had a rough ride. Full of foreboding, Omri bent down and peered into the box. Little Bear was sitting there in the corner of it. He was hugging his leg, which Omri could see now, to his horror, was bleeding right through the buckskin leggings. "Box jump. Horse get fear. Kick Little Bear." The Indian, who was though calm, was clearly in a lot of pain. "Oh, I'm so sorry," cried Omri. "Can you come out? I'll see what I can do." Little Bear stood up, walked out of the box. He did not let himself limp. "Take off your leggings. Let me see where you're cut," said Omri. The little Indian obeyed him and stood there in his breechcloth. On his tiny leg was a wound from the horse's hoof. It was streaming blood into the carpet. Omri didn't know what to do, but Little Bear did. "Water," he ordered. "Cloths." Omri thought through his panic, forced himself to think. He had water in a glass by his bed, but that would not be clean enough to wash the wound. His mother always would put Listerine in the cupboard, or Listerine from the cupboard in a warm cup of water, and that would be used as a disinfectant. Omri dashed to the bathroom with trembling hands. He did just what he'd seen his mother do. He took a small piece of cotton wool, what could be used as a bandage. He had no idea. But he hurried back to with the water and poured some into the Action Man's tin. The Indian tore off a minute wisp of cotton wool, dipped it into the liquid, and applied it to his leg. The Indian's eyes opened wide, though he did not wince. "This not water, this fire." "It's better than water." "Now tie," said the Indian next. "Hold in blood." Omri looked around desperately. A bandage small enough for a wound like that? Suddenly his eyes lighted up, and they looked at the biscuit tin. There, lying on the top, was a First World War I soldier with a red armband and he was a medical orderly. In his hand was a doctor's bag with a red cross on it. What might that not contain? If Omri could make it real, not even stopping to think too far ahead, he snatched the figure up, thrust it into the cupboard, shutting the door and turning the key. A moment later, a thin English voice called from inside. "Here? Where am I? Come back, you blokes. Don't leave a chap all alone in the dark." And that's the end. What do you think's going to happen? The next chapter is chapter 5, and it's called Tommy.